Occurs to me now, I don't really know where to start. Well, 27 years old. I'm from a town of less than 1,400 people in southern Indiana. I've never left the country before. I grew up in an old decommissioned farm. It's an old farmhouse. We had a potbelly stove for heat, no air conditioning. We had running water, but it was well water. We moved a little, more like diagonally across the road, I suppose, out of the trees and onto a street to a slightly more modern house, which was even then built in the 70s. When I was about 4. When I was about 6 or 7, parents divorced, and we moved around a little bit after that, but we never really moved too far away out of the area. I lived in Indiana my whole life. We weren't the poorest family I knew, but we never really had a whole lot growing up. We were just on the edge of comfortable, doing only slightly better than paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes a lot worse than that. But one thing I thought I would never get around to was traveling overseas. Most of the people in my family have never done it, so I never thought I'd get the opportunity. It's strange to think about. Flight leaves in just a few days and it doesn't feel real yet. Equally terrified and eager to have all my perceptions and all of my cultural norms flipped upside down. It's exciting. Whenever I was really young, I had a sort of accidental love of Japanese animation. I didn't know what May was, or I guess I didn't really know the difference. All I knew was that I liked this different style more. And growing up in the early 90s, around the time the bubble burst, Japan's influence on media and technology was pretty significant. It was just getting to that part in this Toyotas everywhere, and every piece of electronic equipment in your house was made in Japan. I would try to read books, look at the pictures. When I was really young, I'd watch movies, and I always wonder what it would be like to go to Tokyo. I didn't know a lot about the world whenever I was young, but everybody knew that Tokyo was the biggest city in the world. It was a fascinating idea to me. Growing up in a tiny town, on a tiny farm, most of the people I knew were family. There weren't that many other people around. The idea of being crowded was a strange idea. When I was in 3rd or 4th grade, our teachers had this sort of multicultural awareness thing that they would put on. As a part of it, they had a woman come to our class, talk about Japan, and I don't remember too much about it, I guess. I don't remember anything about her, but I do remember the stories about Japan, and I do remember she gave us all 5 yen coins, I believe, with the hole in the center. I lost mine shortly after that, but we learned a little bit about origami and subways of Tokyo and how Japanese people had the internet on their phones, which at that age I didn't really understand what the internet was anyway. It was pretty fascinating, and I guess maybe that's where the kind of flirtation with visiting there came from, and I guess it stuck with me. So it's been 20 years, and finally graduated college, and I started thinking about what I really want to do and what may be best for me. Traveling around the world was something that appealed to me, and I know lots of people that went to Europe, London, or they go to Berlin. That never really appealed to me. All I ever really wanted to do was just go to Tokyo, and I figure that I'm nearing 30, and I've always wanted to do it, then now's the time. Growing up loving science fiction and cyberpunk movies and stuff like that, a lot of the locations are dirty streets of Hong Kong or back alleys of Tokyo, and the bright neon lights and the endless streets along sidewalks. I always thought about that as a kid. I always wondered about it, played with the idea in my head, what would it be like to grow up there instead of here? Basically the exact opposite of where I'm from. And over the years, it's strange, I've developed almost a sense of nostalgia thinking about the late 80s, early 90s Japan and Tokyo, even though I've never really been there, just seen it in media, thought about it, talked about it, read about it. It's a peculiar feeling to think about something in that way. The idea of actually arriving there is strange. I don't know what it will be like. I don't know what the chemical reaction in my brain will be like. It'll probably be overwhelming. Never been on a train before. My first day there, I have to take 3. I've only been on a plane one other time, and round trip flight to Tokyo, that's a pretty big deal. First time I get to the front gate and get on the plane, all told with layovers, is 19 hours. It's about a 6,500 mile journey. I suppose that's enough for now. This concludes the entry number 1, 12:50 a.m. Sunday, October 25th. Short update. It's the night before. I've had every single person that knows me has congratulated me, and then several have been like, and also, holy shit. It's kind of a big deal for me, and everybody knows it. It's been nice to have so many people say something nice, like, hey, good job. Even though I'm just going on a stupid vacation. These people are excited. I guess I'd be excited if I knew somebody that was going to Japan too. It's been nice having the encouragement. Tonight's my last night in America for 5 weeks. Well, I don't really have much to say. It's 8:15 p.m. October 28th. See you on the other side. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. We are making our way to the Indianapolis International Airport. I have a bunch of things happen. Before I even get on the plane, I got an email saying that my flight was canceled. So we had to reroute me through Chicago. So that put me at 4 stops. And then they also increased my layovers by a total of, I think, 26 hours. 8 hours at least 8 hours in Toronto and almost a full day in Vancouver. Luckily, the ticket agent lady was smarter than the automated system that did that, and she rerouted me to San Francisco. So all of my winter clothes I had on had to come off. I went from Indianapolis to San Francisco. It took hours. When I got there, I was sweating a lot, and I had about an hour and a half layover to my flight to Vancouver. I have never seen so many French Canadians in my life. Does it always sound like they're arguing, or is that just like a weird thing that I have in my heart? That's like not racist, but like a weird cultural thing that I hate French? Probably. French and German always sounds like people are yelling. Hey. This flight to Vancouver is only 2.5 hours, thankfully. And I was excited to see Canada. And then I realized that I fell asleep for like 15 minutes while we were boarding. And then our flight actually left like 45 minutes late. I'm not even sure why. So when I got to Vancouver, instead of having 2 hours, I had like 35 minutes to get through TSA and customs. So I got to the plane with, I think, 5 minutes to spare. They were getting ready to close the gates as people from my plane walked in. that plane, that Boeing, I think it was a 787-8 or 778, I don't remember what it was. It was the biggest plane I've ever seen in my life. Giant engines on this thing, and it had 2 aisles, or 3 aisles of seats, 3 on each side, and then I think 4 in the center. I don't even know how many people were on that thing, but it was, it had televisions and all kinds of stuff built into it. I gotta watch Terminator Genesis, which is a very weird movie. Ugh. I don't know. By the time I'd actually ran to the plane, I was completely sweated wet, and I had to take a bunch of shirts off and change clothes in the airport, in the bathroom in the airplane. I think I got another 15 or 20 minutes of sleep. Aside from that, I hadn't slept in 2.5 days. I used Google to figure out a route once I got to the Narita International Airport. After I was yelled at by people for going in the wrong lines and not figuring out where to go. Right, I had to find the train. The train is in the basement. I go to the basement and the train I want is not there. And then I look at my phone and it says Terminal 2 and I realize I'm in Terminal 1. So I have to go all the way back upstairs and get on a shuttle and then go to Terminal 2 and then find the basement of that shuttle. I showed the guy my itinerary and where I needed to go, and he said that it was wrong and that the train I wanted to go on had to stop at Alta, and from Alta I had to get on a different line. And I was like, okay. So I bought the train ticket. It was like, I think, 1260 yen. I was on the train for about 40 minutes, getting the pocket Wi-Fi set up on my phone. And then I got off at Alto station. And the train that I wanted is not even there. It's not there at all. So, like an idiot, I exit the train and I go outside and I'm like, I'm just gonna call a cab. Fuck this. I can't figure it out. I'm calling a cab. Look at where I am. I'm like 40 minutes away and I figured the cab ride's gonna cost like $80. So then I just call the hotel and I'm like, hey, I can't figure out what the hell to do. I don't know where I'm going. And they were like, just go to the automatic computer terminal, and I was like, I tried that, and it says all the flights, or all the trains leave at 9:40. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. Just go there, buy a ticket, ignore everything, just buy a ticket, and get on the train, and come over here, you're like 5 minutes away, and then you can catch a cab from there. And I was like, okay. And I went in there, and I bought my ticket, and I paid, I think, $7 too much. And I found the train, and then I got on Nippori. Apparently, I should have stayed on the same train to Nippori, gotten off at Nippori, and then I could have just transferred again and gotten exactly where I needed to go. The guy at the train station told me the wrong place to go, so I got lost in the Alto station for like an hour. I had to be at the hotel by 10, and it was now about 9:30. I paced a lot. I was pacing back and forth, looking at my phone. I was just sending messages to people like, I don't know what to do. But, had I been an adult, I would have just, like, tried to just buy a ticket and go. Luckily, the people at this hotel are really awesome. And they just kind of, like, had to teach me how to use the train. It was really funny. I think they were surprised at how dumb I was. But anyway, I got off at Nippori, and there were 4 exit signs that weren't exits. And once I figured out that actual exit sign, like they have exit signs and you follow them, and at the end of the exit it says, this is not an exit. Exit, this is not an exit. I went outside and there was one cab sitting outside. I flagged the guy down. He looked to be about 75 years old. Put me in the cab. I showed him my phone where I wanted to go. I talked to him in Japanese a little bit. I finally got to the hotel at I think 10:30 or 10:45. The front desk guy actually kept the front desk open for me, which was very nice of him. And then we're gonna see if I can sleep.
Alright, is that it? That's it for the
I had the belt break on this damn Walkman recorder already, so it's already tedious to use. I can't rewind or fast forward. I have to just play it in high speed. Yeah, there we go. That should sound better, right? My first day in Japan, I didn't really do much. I laid in bed all day. I was super sick. And about 6 or 7 o'clock, I went out to 7-Eleven and got a little snack and came back and went back to bed. There's not really much to show on that front. I did see a Jeep Wrangler on the side of Tokyo Street, which I found extremely disturbing. The next day, I started out with some coffee, though. They have some of this Boss rainbow blend coffee you get out of a machine, and it actually tastes pretty good. I probably like it because it's got a ridiculous amount of caffeine and sugar in it. But I had 2 cans of that. Gotta start my day. My first official mission, find lunch. So I asked a hotel dude where to go for lunch for ramen, and he gave me a place and directions on a map. And I had my big stupid fucking foreigner map out in front of me, walking around the streets of Tokyo with a big stupid grin on my face like, hi. And wheels and stuff. It looked pretty good. I was happy about getting lost. Anyway, I find the ramen place and it's closed. They got the steel shutters down. I walk up a little bit to a yakitori place, and I'm like, fuck it, I love yakitori, I'll eat there. And I try to slide the door open, and it doesn't move. And I try to slide the other door open, and it doesn't move. And then I just turned and ran. I didn't want anybody to see. Stupid American can't figure out a fucking door. So I circled back around, and I saw another place called, I believe it was Matsuya Beef Bowl. I think that's right. Anyway, I can actually use the door there. I walk in, I look at the guy, and he kind of points to a machine and gives me a little nod, and I'm like, oh, it's one of those. And I didn't shoot any video of this, but if you don't know, in Japan, a lot of the restaurants have a little automatic teller machine. You put your money in and select what food you want, and then it gives you tickets, and you just hand the tickets to the guy. It's actually really convenient. But what I got was this supreme beef bowl. It's like thin strips of really fatty beef on top of rice and vegetables. And then they give you like a bowl of miso soup that you can either sip or mix in. And it was quite good. I also had a big tall Asahi, super dry bottle of beer, all for under $10. So I walk back to the hotel and I think, I kind of sort of got this shit figured out. I actually walked down the street and nobody tried to kill me or anything. Maybe I could actually figure out the train system and go to Akihabara tonight. So that's what I decided to do. I waited till I got some of these videos and other things edited and stuff before I left. I left around 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock to Akihabara. I decided the first thing I needed to officially venture out into Japan and see was the Akihabara Gundam Cafe. My luck had actually turned around and I looked at the map, and it turns out that I'm 17 minutes away from Akihabara. It's like the technological district, the anime district, all the nerd stuff, all in one big center, and I accidentally booked a hotel really close to it. Yeah, that really worked out. So anyway, I took the train over there. It was like a 10-minute train ride with like about an 8-minute walk. And I got to the Gundam Cafe. Gundam Cafe was really crowded. There was about a 10-minute wait outside. There's a lot of Japanese people. Seems like some Chinese people speaking Chinese anyway. And then there were a couple of the, like kind of lanky, weird-looking white people. And I got something called, I think it was like, I don't know. I'll show the video of it. I got a picture of it. Something char, 3 times spicy rice curry, and some kind of Red Comet something alcoholic beverage with a cherry in it, so it looked like the Mono Eye. All the waitresses here speak in super duper high pitched voices, and they all have like weird costumes and stuff from the show, I guess. And the whole place is decorated like the inside of a spaceship, like a Gundam spaceship. And they play clips of the Gundam shows and music videos and stuff. Next door is like a little trinket shop. I bought a couple of little doodads in there. It's pretty fun. On my way back, I went to the wrong Akihabara station. There are 2 different terminals that go completely different directions. I was standing at the wrong one. Some crazy old guy asked me for 200 yen for a train ticket, and I was like, yeah, sure, train ticket, whatever. And I gave him the 200 yen, and he actually bought a train ticket. I guess I'm the asshole. I found the correct terminal and made my way back, and I don't know, walked around Tokyo for a little while, saw a couple of nice cars. It's really fucking beautiful. I just realized how close I am to Tokyo Skytree. Yep, went to 7-Eleven, got some beer, came back. And tomorrow is another day. It is November 1st, 2015, midnight Tokyo time. Konbanwa. I finally fixed my tape recorder. I found some glue and a spring, and I wired the stuff together and glued it, and it works. It makes a loud clicking sound now, but it works. Hooray! The tape recorder was out of commission on November 2nd, but I can go ahead and recount what I did, I think. Since it was cold and rainy and wet out, my first day in Akihabara, I didn't really get to see much, so I decided that I should go and look at all of the nerd things and wander around Akihabara on Monday. So I wandered around side streets for a while and kind of got lost around Minoa. And I found a sweet takoyaki place that's just like a little window, and I think it's got like 4 chairs on the inside. Big takoyaki balls. Takoyaki is fried octopus balls. Takoyaki, I think, literally just means fried octopus. And those were delicious. And I sat down and ate those in the train station, even though you're kind of not supposed to do that, waiting for the train to Akihabara. So when I got to Akihabara, it was daytime this time. So I was kind of just wandered around for a while. Today I didn't get to go to any arcade places. Today I was trying to just figure out where all the model kit shops were and kind of get a lay of where everything is. I really wanted to find a PC engine. I couldn't find a PC engine anywhere. I ended up going back out in the next video, the day after that, trying to find one still. I visited, I think, 6 different game shops and I couldn't find one. By the way, Retro Game has a lot of cool stuff, but it's expensive as shit. So, a large part of this video is this figure and model shop, and I wish I had looked at what it was called. I can't figure it out, but it was the biggest one I went to. I could probably find it again pretty easily. I think it was near Retro Game. I'm pretty sure I just kind of randomly wandered into it. It's on the same street as Retro Game. I can't remember if that was Meiji Dori or not. Whatever. I'm sure if you looked on a map, you could probably find it. But anyway, it's all figures and glass cases in the basement, or in the bottom floor, and you can go up. And it's basically like kind of one of those comic book shops where they just have tons of shit everywhere. It was like that. They had used Transformers, and they had all the tons and tons and tons of Gundam model kits and stuff from the 80s, and lots of Kamen Rider. Had some Star Wars stuff crammed in the back. It was pretty awesome. They crammed a lot of stuff in a small space, and I ended up buying a couple of model kits while I was there. Very cheap. I think $6 a piece. Very, very cheap. Oh, actually, before that, I was in a different model shop that had like toy trains and a bunch of stuff like that, and I ended up buying a little tiny 2000 GTR build-a-kit, and then I bought a little Z06 Corvette for my dad. That was a cool place. The guy was surprised I knew what a 2000 GTR was. He's like, you know this car? And I'm like, yeah, I love this car. He's like, cool. So I wandered around and took a few photos. I tried to not get my camera out too much. I didn't want to be too much of a bother. But I made my way back around where the Gundam Cafe was, and sort of to the right. If you're looking at the Gundam Cafe, you go down the street a little bit by Akihabara Station. There is one of those carousel sushi places. So I spent, I don't know, probably 45 minutes to an hour in there charging my phone and eating sushi and watching the guy make sushi. I spent like $30 in there. I got a couple of beers and ate so much sushi that I wanted to puke. I ate natto for the first time, by the way. That's like fermented soybeans. It was really weird. After my little excursion, I came back to the hotel and got a couple more beers and heated up my takoyaki balls and the leftovers and ate those and talked to some people. I believe that night I went to bed at, well, let's just close it out. It was 1 a.m. November 3rd, Tokyo time, 2015. November 3rd, daytime. I got up a little bit late today after Skyping my parents and talking a little bit. I decided I wanted to venture out. Just to be sure, I thought I'd wander around Akiba a little bit more, see if I could find some tape recorder parts. I did not find tape recorder parts. I found some cassette tapes that were $20 a piece. Then I thought maybe I'll get a couple of little small gifts for some people too, so I went to one of those pod shops that sell those capsules. And I bought some stuff in there. And I found this place called, I think it was called the Hobby Jungle. It was Jungle something. They had a lot of those Hot Toys action figures. They're like $500 in there. That was pretty interesting to see all that stuff. Also went to Hard Off, which is like a recycle shop, and they had a couple of things in there that were interesting. They actually had a real Virtual Boy Nintendo, but it was only a display model. They did not have a PC Engine. After bringing a couple things in Akihabara, I kind of thought like maybe I should go somewhere green. Steve had suggested going to Ueno Park, and it was a nice night, so I went to Ueno Park from Akihabara. It was about 30 minutes. I think I had to walk about 20 of it. I went through Ueno Square, which is super crammed and smells like fish. I finally happened upon Ueno Park and wandered around in there for a little bit, looked out over the city. It was really beautiful, great park. I ended up walking back to the Montse Beef Bowl place. I really like that place. I'm probably going to keep eating there. I got the beef bowl and another burger. Walked around the city more. I think I walked about 10 miles over the whole day. I know it was very difficult to get up after that. It wasn't a super eventful day, but I did see about 1 million people in Akihabara, almost 10,000. It was a lot. Ueno was very busy. It was a beautiful day, and it ended it with some cheap food and went back to the hotel. 10 o'clock, November 3rd, 2015. Today was Robot Restaurant Day, so I took it easy for most of the day, knowing that I would probably have to do a lot of stuff later. Around that time, I got on the train for Shinjuku. I met a nice lady named Alice on Reddit who suggested that we go to turn in your reservation, and then they give you a ticket to get in with a seat number and a drink ticket. And it's important to note, if you're going with a group, you need to get a reservation as a group because they give you assigned seats. Luckily, Alice and I registered around the same time, so we ended up sitting right next to each other. So after some small talk and talking about graphic design and stuff, we were ushered into what seemed like 5 floors down. I think it was like 5 floors down from where we were. And we're walking down all these steps, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder. And towards the bottom floor, the floors and the steps are like backlit images of sexy girls holding guns. And there's like koi fish all over the walls, and everything's like lasers, and and giant TV screens and LEDs. And I probably didn't take enough footage of this place. It's pretty nuts. So we get ushered into this little place, stadium seating, and I'm kind of looking around like, God damn, this place is really small. Like, how are they going to do all this crazy shit in here? I would later find out. So at the show, we got seated next to a dude named Philip. He is a British dude who teaches English, and he is very cool. Hi, Phil. So the show starts, and we are amazed the entire time. Everybody had their phone out. It was amazing. There's like scantily-clad cute ladies. I couldn't believe, like it seems like they hired every girl that was attractive in Shinjuku. And it wasn't just like they hired like cute girls. It was like they all like could dance and sing. And one girl like rocking out on the guitar. And there's this one part where a chick had to play like a full drum set, standing up in high heels in shorty shorts, like on a platform that's motorized, like 5 feet in the air. And the whole time I was like, how the fuck? Like how do you do job postings for Robot Restaurant? Like we need a sexy girl that can play drums in high heels, standing up 5 feet in the air on a motorized platform. That's not a skill anyone has. It was amazing and weird. I think the joke that I made while we were there was, to sum up, I think Robot Restaurant, while featuring cute girls in outfits riding dinosaurs and giant spiders and giant snakes and fighting aliens that ride robots, and then the show finishes out with breakdancing robots and all kinds of daft punky crazy shit. Robot Restaurant is the decor of a Yakuza's back tattoos orgasm, and the content is essentially super sexy Sentai, like Power Rangers that show like more leg. Needless to say, it was amazing, and the performers really fucking sold it, and they all did such a good job. And it was a 5,500 yen. Off the top of my head, I don't know what that is in USD, but it was worth it. It was a 90-minute show of it was something that you're not going to ever see anywhere. It's just unbelievable. It was part Japanese kabuki theater, part rock show, part live episode of Power Rangers. It was just it was so great. It was just pure joy. I cannot recommend it high enough. So after we wandered around a little bit and we were trying to decide what to do, and we happened upon that guy Phil again, and he had been to the area before, and neither of us had. So we were kind of hungry, and we were walking around, and we ended up going to this yakitori place. And it was a really long wait, and we kind of got to know each other a little bit. And by the time we got in there, we were all completely starving. All I had eaten was a snack at 7-Eleven like 7 hours ago. So we ordered, I think, all the food. I'm pretty sure we ordered all the food. We ordered, I think, 3 courses. So like we had one course, a full table, and then we'd eat all the food, and then we ordered another course. And Phil and I drank giant beers. We just hung out and discussed shit and ate food for, I don't even know how long we were there, like 3 hours, something like that. Yeah, it was a good night. I really like Alice and Phil, and if you guys are watching this, I hope to meet you guys again. It was a great time. To get in, and I flopped down, and I think I go to bed at 7 a.m. So for this entry, I'm going to go ahead and say it was 7 a.m., I guess Thursday, and I will never drink that much again, and see everybody next time. This is November 5th and 6th, Thursday and Friday, 2015. After the robot bar, staying up all night and everything, I was really tired the next couple of days. I had been seeing a lot in a row, and I've been walking around a lot, so I took a couple of days to relax and kind of just eat terrible food and watch some stuff on my laptop and be boring. On Friday, though, I decided that it had been too long since I had had a burger and fries, and I was going to go to a Japanese place, but I was still, I don't know, feeling really lazy. So I just walked down the street, and there was a Burger King, and I was really hungry for Burger King fries specifically, so I was like, all right. I got a big, I think they call it a Big King version 4. I don't remember. It was too much food. I sat there and ate it, and I was like, number one, it tasted better than any of the Burger Kings that I had ever tried in the States. And number two, if I had eaten that whole thing, I probably would have died. Shortly after that, it started to get dark, and to ask Steve, hey Steve, where's a good place to go if you just want to hang out for like a little bit? And he's like, go to Asakusa, you idiot. So this idiot went to Asakusa. And of course, being me, by the time I got there and walked around for a while and took my time, everything was closed because it was 8 p.m. But I got to walk around, and really, like, my favorite thing to do is just walk around and look at stuff. So I went down the main old street there. By the way, Asakusa is super part, like an old part of Tokyo. So they have a lot of classic stuff and lots of sort of sights of old Japan. So anyway, I walked down this old street, and I accidentally find a old temple, which I did not even see from the other side of the street. So this silly dumb American tourist accidentally wandered into the oldest temple. It is the temple that you always see when people take pictures in Japan. It was built originally in 645 AD. It's called Sensoji. It is a Buddhist temple, and I'm going to go back during the day and take some more photos because it was absolutely beautiful. Anyway, that's all I really did, aside from eating in a ramen shop and getting literally boiling ramen that was super spicy and tons of chilies in it. This is the sign for the place. It's right next to Asakusa Station. It was amazing. I'm probably going to go back. Called Takesaburo. That was for my short update. From now on, I'll probably start collecting multiple entries into one short episode. Either because I don't want to do a whole bunch of separate episodes where nothing happens, or, you know, just to make it a little bit easier on all of us. End of the day, about 11:30 Friday on the 6th of November. Goodbye. This entry is for Saturday, November 7th. Saturday and Sunday are going to be the same day because today was our Reddit karaoke day. I don't have a lot of footage shot for today, unfortunately, but I did meet some Redditors for some karaoke in Shinjuku. The place in Shinjuku we went to was called, it was Karetetsu King of System. It's like, I have no idea where it is. Anyway, we got a 8-person room, and everything was organized by a lady named Paige. Thank you, Paige, for organizing it. I hope you enjoyed all my terrible singing. Yeah. Anyway, I met up with 2 dudes before that to get American-style food in Harajuku at a place called Smokehouse. The Smokehouse is a bit on the expensive side, but they have some different kinds of like American and German-style beers. I got like a Belgian white. Quite honestly, was probably some of the best pulled pork I've ever had. No pictures. Oh yeah, and thanks to Logan and Chris for taking me there. I'm kind of sad you couldn't make it to karaoke, Chris. See you guys. Anyway, yeah, I only have like 2 minutes of footage from that night because I was concentrating on drinking and singing. This is all there is for the awesome time. I would say that we did get followed around by lots of Africans trying to get us to go to sexy massage parlors. So if you go to Shinjuku at night, just be aware that people are going to, number one, try to get you into their bars where you can pay a flat fee for drinking whatever you want. Don't do that because it's usually a trap. And if Africans walk up to you trying to get you to go to a massage parlor, they're trying to sell you a hand job. Just be aware of that. The day ended at 9 a.m. Sunday morning, November 8th, and don't stop believing. Hold on to that dream. Wow, okay. Entry from Sunday to today, which is Wednesday the 11th. The only thing I'm really doing today is editing these videos. I'm about a week behind, so I've always heard that this is like the department store place to go for electronics, but what I didn't know is it's also filled with like everything. Like it has like washing machines and like anything you can imagine is electronic, and of course you gotta buy your camera, so there's a whole floor full of camera gear, like the most camera gear I've ever seen in one place. Naturally, being a dork, I find myself on, I think, floor 5, which is video games and toys and models. I had always heard that they had all of the modern video game system stuff, which is cool, but I didn't really check it out. But I just had randomly read that they had one of the best collections of Gundam model kits in Tokyo. So I went and holy shit. They had almost every one ever. They had aisles of these things. They had aisles of perfect grades, which were like hundreds of dollars, and the boxes are like the size of a person. I mean, all of the kits made I think every kit made in the past like 6 to 8 years was there, and they even had a whole section where they remade old kits from the early 80s, which are like the ones I really like because they're stupid looking. And they have that great hand-painted artwork. There's just a whole section of those too. And not only Gundam stuff, they had tons of car models and tons of like electric toy trains and like anything you can imagine, just stuffed full of stuff. It was amazing. And anyway, I took a little bit of footage of me leaving this place. This place is, I think, seven floors. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's 9. I don't remember. It's all a blur. But you can see me going down all the escalators here, and it takes a little while to get up to where you go. And just it's crazy. It's crazy inside. If you make your way to Akiba, like you need to go in here. I walk by this place every day, and I never went in. So, after getting back from there, I decided I had been to Akihabara, and I've been here for a week and a half. I've been to Akihabara, like, I want to say, like, 15 times. Not just because it's full of nerd stuff, but because it's really close to my train station, and if I want to eat or something, it's got the most restaurants per square foot, so I usually just pop over there for whatever reason. So today, I decided I wanted to go somewhere I had never been. Meiji-dori Shrine was put up after the emperor died, I guess closing out the Meiji era around 1920. It was rebuilt again in 1958 because it was damaged during the air raids of Tokyo in the World War II. I am an intellectual. Anywhoosies, I went walking up to this place, and really it is in the forest. Like you're in Harajuku and you walk like 15 minutes away out of like the trendy, dense section of the city, and it's all forest, and there's paths, and when I went, super lush, green, beautiful. I couldn't believe how great and how beautiful everything was. Walking around the courtyard and just kind of getting lost in the path for a while. Unfortunately, almost all places like this in Japan close at 4 p.m., so I only had a few minutes to walk around. I guess I should have checked before I left. So I walked back through Harajuku and decided to take Harajuku Station just because. And as I was walking through Harajuku, I saw some cool cars. There are a lot of like old Mini Coopers in Japan, which is awesome because you don't really see that many in America. I also saw my first R34 GTR. And there was a 1997 Honda race car in a window, just randomly somewhere. Also, they had this, whenever I was standing at the Harajuku station, they had this fucking van, bus, truck thing pull up, and it was advertising Japanese pop stars singing songs of Disney, and it played music. I was like, am I hearing a whole new world in Japanese right now? Yeah. Yep. A billboard truck playing music. So, after seeing all the natural beauty, I decided, of course, I should go back to Akihabara because I don't have any creativity. There was this Japanese place called Kokoya that I wanted to check out. It is right next to Akihabara Ichi. I ordered 3 entree, or one appetizer and 2 entrees. I ordered the gesso, the deep fried octopus, and the mackerel croquettes, also deep fried, also delicious. I had 2 beers and some pickled herring. Yes, which what they cook with a torch. That was really good. It was all good. And then I got the bill. 3,640 yen. If you're not laughing with me, that's like $30. I ate like $30 of food in like 20 minutes. And it wasn't that much food, I gotta be honest. So, if you're a tourist and you're like, hey look, it says Japanese style, maybe go somewhere that's like a small mom and pop place and not like this like place, because it was quite honestly kind of a lot for what you get. After that, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really do much the past couple of days. Oh, I forgot to mention, I did go out to Akihabara again the day before, and I bought one of those Gundam umbrellas because I knew it was going to rain all day. So I got one of those. I am stupid. So, again, today, just planning and editing. I'm going to try to come up with something more interesting to do, so people who, friends and family who are watching these videos actually have something to experience other than just, hey, today I laid in bed. Alright, today is Wednesday, 11/11/2015, and it is 2:45 a.m. home time, so that means that it is 4:45 p.m. in Tokyo. I will see y'all some other time. That was a bad way to end this. I don't have a lot of stuff shot for today, but today was the day I got to meet Midori for the first time. So we wandered around. It took forever to find each other. We were like, meet by the west exit of Ikebukuro. And so I was there, and she's like, I'm here. And I'm like, so am I don't see you. Turns out there are 2 west exits. So then I was like, all right, meet by the Christmas tree. And there were 2 Christmas trees. But we did end up finding each other, and we had to walk all the way to the other side of town. Like, it's like a 10 or 15 minute walk, and we get there and it closes in 45 minutes, and there's like 8 people online. So she was like, well, how about we go to, she had looked up this cafe that had a Back to the Future theme, so she was like, why don't we go to the Back to the Future cafe? And I was like, that actually sounds better. So then we turned around and had to walk all the way back to where we were before. Anyway, so it's in this indoor mall, and it's like, I guess it's a limited time thing where it's themed Back to the Future, and there's like a Back to the Future themed food, and there's like signed replicas and props and stuff like that. And we ended up ordering a BLT, which had like a gigantic piece of like ham bacon. It was like a 1/4 inch thick, and it was on, I think it was on ciabatta bread. And she gave up and had to use a knife and fork. I tried to muzzle through it, but my jaw hurt at the end. We got this mystery experimental drink, and it was like alcoholic soda, and you mix Pop Rocks in it, and it foams. It's like it's served in a beaker, as you can see. After that, we looked around there, so we tried to find some like Irish pubs. Those are usually the only places in Japan that have cider. So we found some hard cider, and I got like some Guinness and stuff. And we hit a couple of bars, and we walked by a Sega, and she really likes those UFO machines. Popped around in there, and we just kind of looked around, and finally, I found one of those goddamn Gundam Pod video game machines. She recorded me playing it, and I had a lot of fun. It was actually a lot harder to control than I figured, but you know, that was one of those things I've always wanted to do. Those things have been around for like 10 years now, and I've always wanted to play one, so I finally got to play it. So after that, we walked around a little bit and got to know each other a little bit more and agreed to see each other a few days later. So that's really all that happened. This is actually on the 11th. I think I had another video that said it was on the 11th. I think I got my days mixed up. So this is actually the 11th of November, retroactively. Yep, episode 11. Oh my god, is that episode 11 for the 11th of November? Holy shit, that's pretty cool. Next week, Shinjuku Gyoen. Entry for 11/12/2015. Thursday. Thursday was Shinjuku Gyoen. It is a state park / garden. Pay about $1.70 to go inside. I took a million photos of everything. Everything was really beautiful. I don't know. I don't really have any editorializations to make. If you're ever near Shinjuku, you need to go to Shinjuku Gyoen. It's not open all year though. There were so many people there, and so many foreigners, and so many people with cameras taking photos, and giant crows. Yeah. It was somewhat of a cloudy day, but I didn't really notice. Everything was still green, and what wasn't green was really pretty. So anyway, lots of trees I'd never seen before. Large, like 100-year-old trees that are like bonsai style, where they bend the branches in a certain way. So many different ways of growing flowers and flower arrangements. It was a chrysanthemum display whenever I was there. It was all very nice. Another part that I thought was really cool was the greenhouse. The greenhouse was like a zoo with no animals in it. A zoo for plants, a greenhouse. I'm a genius. Anyway, it's like this one big circle path, and it has like a built-in waterfall and all these different kinds of flowers and plants and anything you can imagine. Very hot in there too. I took a lot of cell phone camera pictures because my big DSLR's lens got fogged up and I couldn't unfog it because I had a filter on it, so I just took cell phone camera stuff. So that's why it looks different. All in all, it was a great time. It took about 3 hours to see everything. There were traditional tea houses, and there's like a big Japanese-style garden with like a lake and these big buildings, and after that I got soba. I don't know what the place was called, but it is sort of near the train station, Shinjuku, not Shinjuku Station, but the Shinjuku-san Chome, maybe? Yeah, sounds right. That's all for now. Goodbye. I don't want to break the whole movie magic thing with you guys, but it's a whole month later, and I ran out of time. I was busy all the time, and I was never around my laptop to do any more video editing. So this video upcoming is actually just a slideshow. It's all the pictures I mentioned not showing you in the previous video for Shinjuku Gyoen. I don't really have any voiceover or anything. It's just music and pictures, that's all. So I thought I took some good pictures, and there's some bad pictures mixed in there too, I guess, but I didn't want to have to make a whole photo album or anything. I thought it would make sense to just add a video slideshow. So that's what this is. This is Shinjuku Gyoen. This is the supplemental photos I couldn't show in my previous video. So I'm going to go ahead and say up top, thanks for watching, and goodbye. Okay, I'm using the microphone to directly input into my sound recorder now because I have already recorded this episode and it was completely destroyed on the tape. So that was fun. All right, this is Friday and Saturday, 13 and 14 of November. That I believe is our second and third date with Midori. I say that because all of the footage and everything I shot are from the second and third dates that we had. The second date, we didn't really do much photography. We went to a salsa club that she loves. I think it was in Shinjuku? It's probably in Shinjuku. I don't remember. No, was it Roppongi or Shinjuku? I don't remember. She'll know. After completely falling in love with me, we had continued on what was actually our first date plan before we ended up meeting each other a couple times before that, I guess because we couldn't wait. Our first date plan was going to Odaiba, a Diver City mall in Odaiba, which also has, you guessed it, Gundam stuff. More specifically, Gundam Front Tokyo, featuring the life-size Gundam statue with a moving head and lights and a light show and all that crap. So, after going to the salsa club the next day, we went to Odaiba and we shopped around the mall for a while. I don't really have any pictures of that, but I do have several pictures and videos of the life-size Gundam statue, and man, this thing was unbelievable. It was a childhood dream to see a life-size Gundam, and I remember way back when they announced that they were building this, I was following every news site that had footage of it, and I was downloading all the pictures of them building it, and it was like, oh my god, it really looks like they're making a real Gundam, and I was having the best geek time of my life, and I never thought that I'd actually get to see it and, stand 50 feet away from it and have my picture taken in front of it, and it was really great. And there was a little, there's a hobby shop right next to it that sells all the exclusive Gundam Front Tokyo stuff, t-shirts and models and such. There was also the gachapon, the little egg ball machines that you put 300 yen in and give yourself a specific Gundam Front Tokyo Gundam pin. I have a F91 pin. I think it's the only place in Japan you can get those. I'm probably going to go back and get more. There's also another Gundam cafe, but we didn't go in there. I had already been to the one in Akihabara a couple of times, so I guess I didn't really bother. But after that, our normal date time resumed. It was a freakishly rainy night. Despite that, we decided, fuck it, we're going to go on the Ferris wheel. There is a Ferris wheel thing, and pretty close to, it's in Odaiba. It's pretty close to Diver City. It's like right across the street. I think it's the biggest one in Tokyo. It's huge, huge, huge. You can see, it was a foggy, rainy night for us, but we still saw so much. It gets so high. It was a happy, romantic moment for the both of us. After that, further awesomeness ensued when we accidentally found a car museum right next to that damn thing, and it had a Mazda Cosmo and several other cars that I loved, and it was the first time Midori ever got to see a real-life DeLorean DMC. The only picture I have here is the one of me standing in front of it, but there are several of her freaking out in front of it. She had never seen one in real life before. So, and this was, right before we went to Back to the Future Live, so it was like Back to the Future freak time in Tokyo. So it was really like a nice little accidental thing we found. We also found a Toyota car museum, but we didn't have any pictures from that, or at least I don't. I don't know. Diver City in Odaiba, that was one of the best times that we spent together. One of the best times of my life. I got to be an anime girl. And, we drank beer and had good food, and it was a wonderful date. Probably the best date I've ever had. And that was on 11/14 of November 2015. So I will see you guys next time, and many Mazda Cosmos to you in your life. I mean, that's not going to happen because there's only like 2,000, but bye. Entry for November 18th and 19th, 2015. This entry concerns Zojoji and Shinjuku. First off, I had about a 4-day thing where I didn't really do much. Midori was working, so I wasn't hanging out with her. And I think I just needed to recuperate because we've been doing a lot of stuff. And I just took like 4 days off to work on videos and just be boring. So, okay, on to interesting stuff. Zojoji is a Buddhist temple in Minato, Tokyo. So it's a pretty old temple. It was built in the 1600s. Wikipedia says 1622, and it's actually right next to Tokyo Tower, which was built about 300 years later, and it was the major communications tower for television in Tokyo. So there's two landmarks right next to each other, and they're 300 years apart. It was a pretty interesting sight to behold. The most striking part of this temple is its giant red gate out front. That's one of the reasons you can always tell it's a Buddhist temple. There's like a big red gate somewhere, but it's so interesting to walk down the street here and see just in the middle of the street like these giant gate out here in the front. Then further up, this big red gate. Just standing in the courtyard and seeing all the shrine and all the statues, and then seeing modern Tokyo cars and buses going by, and it's really crazy. It's just such a head trip to see all this stuff just smashed together. That's really my favorite part of visiting Japan and Tokyo, of course. Modern day smashing together with the 1600s buildings and statues. And of course, because I'm a car dork, I saw all these damn Daihatsu Kopens whenever I was there, and I finally got to see one parked and get a little bit close up to it. This one had a weird paint job I didn't recognize though, so also there's a bird. And before I left Minato, I of course had to get some super spicy ramen at the ramen shop that's right next to that big gate. Right, so I've been rambling a lot. Later that night, we went to Shinjuku. We wandered around and looked at their light show. It was a good time. We went to a couple different places. We went to an Irish bar, and then we saw more lights. I don't know. It was such a nice time. Going to Shinjuku Terrace and walking around at night was really beautiful, and I think that might have been the night Midori and I got to spend just a little bit more time together and goof around, mostly goof around. So seeing the restaurant that just serves fugu fist was pretty cool, but I don't know, it's just a part of my trip I really remember, and I will treasure it. Hopefully I have edited a bunch of stuff out. This was Zojoji in Shinjuku on 11/18/11/19/2015. Tokyo Video Journal. I will see you next time. Actually, I won't see you. You'll see photos. I won't see you because it's not on the internet. Bye. Now, this is for November 22nd. This has been 3 or 4 days since the last time I saw Midori. So for something different, she decided to teach me how to make okonomiyaki. That is a delicious dish from the southern part of Japan. It's kind of almost like a Japanese pancake. It's got cabbage, and it's got kind of a pancake-ish batter and pork. It's not bacon, but it's kind of like bacon, and shrimp in it, and put cheese in it, mochi, put sauce on it. So it was pretty good. I was really excited to learn how to cook it, and it turned out really good. The rest of what we did that day, I don't remember because the food was really good, so that's all I remember. First time I got to see Midori's apartment, and it was nice. I have nothing else to say. It was a great day. Thank you, Midori. So the next day, we had a mission, and I believe we were trying to find... Oh, I just remembered. We were trying to find a denim shirt so I could dress as Marty McFly to go to the Back to the Future live show the next day. So this is November the 23rd. We're walking around Ikebukuro, and the only photos of us really are going into the Pokemon Center, and we took a couple of silly pictures, and then we went shopping, a couple of cute pictures of Midori shopping. We saw a bunch of little mini shops, and then we went to her favorite shop is called Village Vanguard. It's kind of sort of like a bookstore mixed with Hot Topic. There's a few. It's a chain store, so... So tonight is 11:24, Back to the Future Live. So you think we took a bunch of pictures, right? Wrong. We were not allowed to take photos. So we took we took a couple of pictures in Midori's camera. I think her memory card got corrupted, so there's really only the one surviving picture of us dressed up as Marty and Jennifer. So that's kind of a bummer, but, you know, and it was a good time. You know, they basically had a live orchestra play music over top of Back to the Future, the original movie. So all of the actual orchestral parts of the movie were muted, just the music parts, and then they were played live in front of us. So that was pretty amazing. I don't have, like I said, a lot of stuff from that, but it was a really wonderful time. I was so lucky to be in Japan around this time, and I was so lucky to meet a girl that really liked Back to the Future. It's probably a once-in-a-lifetime experience to get to see that movie on a big screen in high definition with live music being played over it. As a big fan of that movie, that was just really one of the most amazing kind of cinephile dork moments in my life. So, and I'm really glad that she invited me to go. So again, for like the third time in this video, thank you, Midori, for making my Japan trip so wonderful. So this is, I think I covered 3 days in this video, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and we're going to go somewhere else next time. So see y'all later. I should come up with a better way to sign these off. This episode covers a full 5 days. We had been doing a lot less because I think I had gotten sick around this time. So I'm just cramming a bunch of stuff in episodes. Okay, so 11:25, we didn't really do much. I didn't feel like doing anything, so we just went across the street and got tomato ramen. It's it's right next to her place. I thought it was interesting because I'd never seen tomato ramen before. It's like tomato soup, but it's got ramen in it, and it tastes better. So that was kind of like an interesting little thing, a combination of like Eastern or Western food, which you find a lot in Tokyo. And while I was still in bed, the next day I felt a little bit better. We went slightly further across the street to this ramen place. It specializes in whale. I didn't get any whale, but we did get fugu fin sake. It's actually a real pufferfish fin they put in sake, and they light it on fire in front of you. It tasted a little weird, but it was good. It was really hot. It smelled terrible, but it tasted good. She got cold soba noodles, and I got vegetables and fungus deep fried. It was all soba noodly and delicious. The 27th, the first thing I did when I got up was saw a cool old Japanese truck, and then we met for sukiyaki. I had wanted to get shabu shabu for years. Shabu shabu and sukiyaki are really similar dishes. Basically, you have a hot plate in front of you on your table, and then they put a big bowl of broth on it, and you cook the soup in front of you. Shabu shabu, you get it like super boiling hot, and you kind of basically just dip your meat in, and it cooks in like 15 seconds, and then you pull it out and you eat it immediately. Sukiyaki is more, you crack an egg in a bowl, you put everything you want to eat inside the broth, and you let it cook down to this like super thick, delicious soup, and you just add whatever you want, bring it into your bowl, and mix it with the cold egg, and eat it, and it's really good. The place we went to is called Dante. They have pretty much any kind of food you could want. We ate a lot that day. We tried very hard to eat all of the food they had. After that, we went souvenir shopping in Don Quixote, and I saw this mask in there, and I had to put a picture of it somewhere. Just the way it's worded is brilliant. Right, so by now it's the 28th. Today we got all dolled up to meet Midori's friends. Midori's friend salsa dancing, and they have like a exhibition type thing they do sometimes. So we went there, we danced a little bit. I got to meet her friends, who were all really nice. After that, somewhere along the line, we decided we needed to get udon. So she got some kind of weird fettuccine udon thing. I got, again, tempura eel. So that was my food for that day. Oh, before I forget, we also did karaoke that night. We stayed a little bit too late. We decided to kill some time until the first train, and the next morning getting karaoke time, which I can't remember. I can never remember the name of this place, but it's the big karaoke place. You'll see them in Roppongi and I think Shinjuku and Harajuku. It's the big place. It's made out of glass. It's really tall and has an amazing view. It's insane. I think for the two of us, it was like $100. I wouldn't suggest it, but I did totally kill some audio slave. Today is the 29th, and we went to a Spanish culture festival, which I think was in Harajuku. There's lots of stuff there. We ate this delicious shrimp soup, and we had wine, and it was a really nice time. I really wanted to get out of there to eat your shabu shabu. But we also went to Kittyland, and in Kittyland they have a Kirby section, and I got a little jealous of a certain stormtrooper. Midori found my doppelganger as a Rilakkuma, and we ended the day completely passed out. I was tired, and I wanted to die. That was the week 25 through 29. We crammed a bunch of small things in, and I had a wonderful time. We're getting close to the end. We only got, I think, 18 entries, and this is 16, so get your confetti ready. See you later.
So you sure we won't die?
No.
You're not sure?
No.
So we're gonna die.
We're not dying.
Okay, this one isn't all just about how much I love Midori and how great it is to be around her all the time, I promise. This one is actually my bucket list day. I had a bunch of stuff I wanted to do that I had never gotten to do, so today I pretty much just went back and did everything. So December 2nd was really the last day I got to hang out, so on the 30th, I really wanted to make sure that I could get as much stuff crammed around as I could. So today I actually went to a model gun shop called Echigoya. It was in Akihabara. It's pretty easy to find the building, but you may not find a shop right away. So if you're looking for it, you have to kind of go into a building and then hang a left and walk upstairs on the outside of the building, and then you'll see the door that says Echigoya Tokyo on it. It's really amazing to see a model gun shop. It was really, really cool to see all the airsoft guns and big grenade launchers and stuff on the wall and all the tactical gear for that hobby. It was nice. SoftMap has like gently used computer parts, and I thought that was a really, really good idea. And I've been talking to my friends about this for a long time. Like, what if you want to buy the brand new, graphics card, and then you switch it out, and 3 weeks later, and there's nothing wrong with it, but you can't sell it online or whatever. SoftMap, like gently used stuff, and they have like motherboards and stuff like that on display and behind glass cases, and they have new stuff too. But it was just a really cool computer shop. It's got pre-built and it's got stuff for hobbyists. So if you're ever in Japan, they have pretty good prices. SoftMap, Akihabara, I really enjoyed it. Now, for more of a historical setting, I decided that I had only been to Ueno and Ueno Park. Like, I've been there several times, but I'd only been there during the really, really late at night, so you can't see anything. And I'd always heard that that's probably one of the best tourist spots to go. And I assumed I was missing a ton of stuff, and I was right. There's a ton of stuff in Ueno and around Ueno Park to see. And there's a National Museum, there's a Western Art Museum, there's a Museum of Nature. I didn't get to see all that stuff. There's a Metropolitan Art Museum, concert halls. There's all kinds of art museums and such. And if you love that's probably one of the best places in Tokyo to go for it. Gojo Ten Jinja, several historical statues and places to go, memorial halls and all that stuff. So one of my favorite things to see, the pagoda, Kan-Eiji Pagoda, I believe. These gates here, which are really, really beautiful Chinese-style gates. I couldn't believe it when I got up to them, how amazing they were. Then after that, this might have been Shabu Shabu Day. Yeah, there's Shabu Shabu after that. So kind of walking around a while, and then we got to see a guy in a jacket that said rock fuck, so that made my night. And then before we went to bed, we played with the hamster a little bit. So I know I sped through this, but if you have a bucket list day where you want to get a bunch of stuff done, you got to go to Ueno Park. If you go to Akihabara and Ueno on the same day, you can't see everything in either city in just one day. But if you really have just a few days in Tokyo, those are two spots you really want to check out if you want to check out a bunch of different kinds of stuff, especially Ueno. So that was Ueno Park, and before I go, I'm rushing around a lot, but coming to this city really was a dream of mine since I was young, and seeing this pagoda specifically really blew my mind. I had a moment that night walking through here, cold as hell, seeing all these old pieces of art and all this old Japanese architecture. Coming here really fulfilled so many dreams of mine. And then, after seeing all this amazing, beautiful stuff, I get to go back and hang out with this amazing and beautiful person and eat delicious shabu shabu. This is really one of the best times of my life. Go to Tokyo. All right, hopefully all that edited together and made some sort of coherent episode, because I don't feel very coherent right now. This was my entry for 11/30/2015. Entry 18. This is really the last time I get to hang out in Japan. So I was sick, but I was determined to have at least some fun. We didn't get out until late that night, so that ended up screwing us later. But now we started off with Bon Esan Thai-style restaurant. We got this food. I believe what Midori got there was coconut-style ramen soup, and I don't remember what I got. I have no idea what it is. It was delicious, though. I do remember that. And while we were around Koenji, we hit up a Village Vanguard and played around with anime classes. After that, we farted around in Midori's apartment, and she found some Hello Kitty glasses, and we both had a lot of fun just putting those on. We both goofed off with those. Koenji has the spot. It's like the main street of Koenji where there are just a ton of used shops and just a ton of places to go. There's a candy shop. There's a ton of places you can eat, and they have a snack stall right out in front where you can get oyaki, which is kind of like a pancake with delicious sugary filling inside. I believe I got apple on the inside of mine, and then she got some kind of cream-filled one, which is also pretty good. But I like the apple one. So. After that, we went to a ton of used shops, and I don't have a whole lot of photos or anything of those, but I do have a picture of a actual vintage Gremlins statue that we found in one of them. I kind of wanted to buy it, but it was like $400. I was even more ill the night before my flight, but we were determined to eat. I was determined to eat some kind of spicy food. We went to the Chinese place across the street from where she lives, and they have lots of Chinese style stuff. I mean, it's still Japanese food, I guess, but it's like Chinese style Japanese food. So essentially, it's Japanese food but spicier. We ate that, and that was really, really good. We have a whole big section of food here, which you can see, which is a typical fashion of us when we go out to eat. We order an entire table of food. That night, we pretty much went to bed relatively early. That was our last night together in Japan. The next day, I woke to a cute little note from her, and I had to work on packing up all my bags, eating lunch, and having my last Japanese beer before I got on the train. The train ride was about an hour. It seemed excruciatingly long at the time. I really didn't want to leave Japan, and it was just not the, I don't know, it was really surreal to sit there thinking back to all the things that I've experienced and recognizing the fact that I'm leaving the country. I mean, it was just a strange time in my head. I don't know any smart, cool way to say it. It was just a weird thing to experience leaving a country where I have done all this cool stuff. It's cool in my book, at least. Yeah. Almost a full hour and a half later, after going on the train and then going on a tram, I'm sitting in the plane and taking off, and I'm thinking about Midori, and I'm thinking about all of the cool stuff I've seen. And right before I left, I got to see one last man-sized Gundam in the Japanese toys section of the airport. I don't know. It was a tough time leaving. That's really all I can say. Is I felt in my time in Japan, I got used to it faster than I thought I would. I made Japan my home. That little tiny hotel room of mine, I felt like home after only a week. And I really, even though it was tiny and uncomfortable, and all of the other foreigners were really weird and annoying, it became home really fast, and it was my hub. And in 10 minutes I could go to Akihabara, I could go visit my girlfriend, I could go to delicious restaurants, I could go play Initial D arcade if I wanted to, I could go see a temple, I could go see a castle if I wanted to. It was in the center of everything, and I'd be leaving that for the first time in 5 weeks, and it was really a surreal moment, seeing the skyline from the top and recognizing that I'm going back to a small town from the biggest city in the world. And this is really it. This is the last time that I'm in Japan. I am in the clouds right now. I'm getting ready to go to sleep, and when I wake up, I will be in Toronto, Canada. And that's really it for Japan, at least for 2015. That's the last time I saw her. It was a good trip. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and shut this one down, but you know what? I'm going to add another video. Maybe I'll add 2 more, and I'll kind of just go over what I thought of everything. And I know, I'm not that interesting of a guy or anything, but this is important, at least for me, to have this sort of vocal record, this journal, to put my thoughts somewhere where they're semi-permanent, so I can come back to them later and remember what it was like to visit another culture, another country for the first time. Because you can forget that stuff. Life can get really complicated sometimes, and you can forget what it's like to do something amazing, and you can get lost in your job or your whatever you're stuck in. And I think that's really why these videos are important to me. That, and I've seen The Terminator too many times to not want to record something cool I've done. Too bad I don't have a Jeep Renegade to record everything in. So, well, this is the last time I've been in Japan. It's December 3rd, 2015. I'll see you in Toronto. Episode 19, entering Toronto and then entering the United States. It might seem a little bit cheesy, but I'm always incredibly blown away by the view of coming in over top of the clouds down to Toronto. It brought tears to my eyes, and it was beautiful, and you can go to hell. Later, after Toronto's horrible airport experience where everyone was rude and terrible, I finally got into Indianapolis, and I met my friend Dan, who picked me up from the airport, took me to see one of the largest Christmas light displays, sort of a tree, not exactly a tree, in the country, in Central Circle Square, Indianapolis. I thought that was pretty cool. We walked around the square. Before that, we had gotten a beer and gotten a sandwich and everything. And after we were looking around lights here, we talked about Japan and farted around for a while. And then I got taken back. And thanks, Dan, for doing that for me. I really appreciated that. As I tried to sleep, I couldn't help but think about plane ride in and seeing all the lights. And just a few hours before, I had been in Tokyo, which was my dream as a kid to visit there. And I don't know, it was a strange feeling. I knew the next morning I would be picked up by my dad and driven back home the 3 hours from the airport. And I don't know, it was... I mean, the typical thing to say is, yeah, it's great to be back home, but at the time, I really just wanted to stay where I was. I didn't really want to go back home, and I had such a good time, and I had met some really, really amazing people, and I felt like maybe Tokyo was home. I don't know. That was coming back home, and being able to sleep in my bed and everything was nice, but Tokyo became home for me, so... I don't know. When I came back, it was great to see friends and everything, but I really, I missed my girlfriend. I missed all the quirks of Japan. I missed all that stuff I had come to know. So I was finally back home, and yeah, I had made it back. I had. Thankfully, this time I took a sleeping pill and actually could sleep. My flight back wasn't horrible. It was actually a pretty easy and nice flight back, except for somebody's kid asking questions the entire flight, the entire 11-hour flight. I was back in Indiana. Herp derp. Well, I have one more epilogue video to upload after this one. I guess I'll kind of summarize my thoughts and everything about my whole experience and what happened afterwards. So this would be for, in American time, December 3rd, at 11:50-ish p.m. at night. I'm a genius. So, good night, everybody. Birdseye, Indiana, 2016. Tokyo, Japan. Taitoku, where I stayed, is 6,520 miles away, or 10,490 kilometers for the rest of you. I lived there for 5 weeks with very little Japanese language ability. I am a college graduate from Southern Indiana with an interest in Japanese culture and history, and I have basically no qualifications or any sort of special skills that would allow me to survive in Japan with any better ability than basically anyone else. Life went back to normal, essentially, after I returned, but after spending time on a little bit of work and hobbies and busy work, I got to see Midori again. Midori came to visit. We had about 9 days together. We saw some interesting sights in my local area, most of which I hadn't seen since I was a kid, if at all. We got a little bit closer. To be truthful, I've been applying to jobs in Japan about 3 weeks into my vacation. I've already decided since my visit that Tokyo or the surrounding area is where I want to live. I love Japan. Not the anime Japan, not the manga Japan, not the crazy wild Japan, but just Japan. I love the food, the history. I love the nerdism. Midori, everything else. I love how clean the streets are. Japan came a very important time in my life. It gave me inspiration, gave me something to dream about. It made me realize that I can do something crazy and difficult, and I can do something weird. I can leave where I'm from. I can learn and I can adapt. I learned that I can communicate with somebody I don't share anything with. I learned that I can be inspired by people I don't understand. I'm already nearing 30. Life has gone by incredibly fast, and I feel that in my heart I'm often very cynical, and a lot more cynical than I'd like to be. But in my travels here, Japan has shown me many things I'd only heard about in other people's writings, in other people's journals, in other people's videos, things I'd only read about. Japan enhanced me. Seeing my friends again and seeing Midori again, and it solidified my decision. Japan, I will come back to you. You know, Japan's always been something that I've just talked about, something that I've always told my friends, like one day I'll go there. One day I'll see it. One day maybe I'll spend a few days there. But I lived there for 5 weeks. I made friends. I have a beautiful girlfriend, and I accomplished more than I ever thought that I would just by spending time there. And I will return, that's for certain. I am going to come back. I don't care how long it takes to save up the money to go. I don't care how difficult it is to get a job to come back. I'm going. If only just to eat ramen every day. I'm coming back. I mean, it's easy to discount. I mean, you know, being a nerd and everything, you know, the anime, the manga, all that stuff. It's really, when you go there, it's so much more than that. It's really everything else that makes you want to live there. There's no choice to me now. I have to do it. I thank every single person that has listened to these journals up to this point. All of my friends and all of my family that have given me encouragement. Midori and Phil and Jay and Josh and Steve. All of you guys really pushed me to do this, and everybody I met at karaoke that night. You guys made my Japan trip everything I ever wanted it to be. So from the bottom of my heart, sincerely, I thank every single one of you that I've spoken to in this time. And this concludes the video series. This is episode 20, Japan Video Journal. Japan has changed my life, and I hope that this short video series, even though it adds up to almost a full-length movie by this point, I hope that it inspires everybody else to engage in a different culture or visit Japan in some way, inspires you to do something that you would normally think, you know, this is something somebody else would do, or this is a dream in the back burner of mine. Maybe you should just do it, because that's what I did. I hope that you've taken something from this. So thank you very much for paying attention to me in this time, and thank you. It's just thank you. Goodbye.
Took a bite out of the apple eye, threw the core into the peeling sky. All my possessions I let go, like acrobat children falling without a net.